David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney+. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney+ every night.
Tonight, anger in the streets spanning 2 continents, Iran's deadly crackdown on protesters. President Trump reportedly gets briefed on options for military strikes against Iran, and more ICE agents head to Minneapolis. We begin with the deteriorating situation in Iran. Human rights groups say more than 500 protesters have been killed and 10,000 detained in 15 days. The internet is down, phone lines cut, the entire region now on edge. President Trump offers support for the protesters and is being briefed on possible military options. Iran is responding, calling U.S. military bases legitimate targets if Iran is attacked. All of this is raising questions in Congress, with some accusing the president of violating his campaign slogan of America First. Tempers flare across this country, with protests growing against ICE operations as more people are detained. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is vowing to send hundreds more ICE agents to Minnesota, where an ICE agent shot and killed Renee Good in her car. Noem argues that Good had weaponized her vehicle in what she's called an act of domestic terrorism. But several Minnesota lawmakers are accusing the administration of a cover-up. Also tonight, new details in the murders of an Ohio dentist and his wife. Her ex-husband is now charged. The evidence, police say, led to his arrest. Police have arrested a suspect in the arson attack on one of the oldest synagogues in the South. It's not the first time it's been attacked. New York City braces for what could be its largest ever strike by nurses. 16,000 are ready to walk out while the city suffers through a record-breaking flu season. New video of a dramatic rescue. The Coast Guard saves a surfer who'd been stranded for more than a day. Triumph after tragedy. A U.S. skater is going to the Olympics 1 year after the crash that took his parents' lives. And we remember the Grateful Dead's Bob Weir, who leaves behind a body of music that never stood still and a legacy that's unlikely to fade.
Saturday night. Oh, Saturday night.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Lindsay Davis. We begin tonight with the crisis in Iran. Protesters are defying a government crackdown that's turned deadly. Human rights activists say the death toll has now surpassed 500 and more than 10,000 people have been detained. Grim images are coming in tonight, including fires burning in the streets and mounting body bags of protesters. Those protests are now global, from London to Paris and several cities in the U.S., including Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles. President Trump has repeatedly threatened to take action against Iran for the crackdown. The White House is reportedly considering sanctions, cyber weapons, and even military strikes. But a top Iranian official warns that the U.S. and Israel will be targeted if the U.S. strikes Iran. We have team coverage tonight. ABC's Selina Wang is standing by at the White House. But first, ABC's Marcus Moore leads us off.
Tonight, the death toll soaring as the bodies of Iranians pile up in the streets amid the regime's brutal and bloody crackdown on protesters across the country. These new images circulating online of demonstrators in the streets and fires burning in cities across Iran. ABC News cannot independently verify the numbers, but U.S.-based human rights activist news agency says compiled data confirms more than 500 deaths. And at least 10,600 people have reportedly been arrested. With protests stretching into their 15th day, the government cutting off the internet, cell phones, and landlines in a nationwide communications blackout as leaders try to slow their momentum. Protesters continue to post videos on social media showing massive turnouts in Tehran. Protesters posting this video showing a government tax office being set ablaze. It all started on December 28th after a currency crisis, with people demanding regime change over the cost of living and severe inflation. Iranian leaders speaking on state television today. Iran's president promising to address the economic situation, but said the unrest is being fueled by the U.S. and Israel. President Trump has warned Iran the U.S. would get involved if protesters are shot. Secretary of State Marco Rubio discussing possible intervention with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Saturday, as a top Iranian official warned the U.S. military and Israel would be legitimate targets. The anger on the streets in Iran spreading to major cities across the globe, from Sydney to Paris to London to Orange County, California. Iran has seen large protests before, like in 2019 over an increase in fuel prices. Then again in 2022, sparked by Masha Amini's death in police custody after she was arrested for not wearing a headscarf. The defiance then led to severe government crackdowns. Lindsay, the government in Iran has declared a mourning period, and if the U.S. were to act militarily, it would be the second strike on Iran since Donald Trump took office nearly a year ago. Lindsay.
Marcus, thank you. And as we mentioned, President Trump is now weighing several possible actions against Iran. More now from ABC senior White House correspondent Selina Wang.
Tonight, President Trump escalating his threats against Iran's leadership as protesters flood the streets across the country. Trump posting, Iran is looking at freedom perhaps like never before. The USA stands ready to help. A U.S. official tells ABC News the president will convene a meeting on Tuesday at the White House to discuss a possible response. The New York Times and Wall Street Journal reporting the president has already been briefed on a range of options for military strikes in Iran, but is yet to make a final decision.
I tell the Iranian leaders, you better not start shooting because we'll start shooting too.
But some lawmakers warn military action could backfire.
U.S. military action in Iran would be a massive mistake.
I don't know that bombing Iran will have the effect that is intended.
This comes just 1 week after Trump declared the U.S. is running Venezuela after capturing their president, Nicolas Maduro, bringing him to New York to face drug trafficking charges. He has pleaded not guilty and declared his innocence. The U.S. has rapidly expanded its military presence throughout the Caribbean Sea, deploying 15,000 troops to the region. Trump now threatening several other interventions in Mexico, Greenland, Colombia, and Cuba. Today, Trump declaring there will be no more oil or money going to Cuba, urging the country to make a deal before it is too late. Even some Republicans sounding the alarm.
It's about Venezuela, it's about Greenland, it's about Colombia, it's about Cuba. It's about whether or not the people get a say in whether we go to war.
And Lindsay, a senior U.S. official, tells me the U.S. is considering lifting sanctions on Venezuela as soon as next week to facilitate oil sales. This comes as President Trump is trying to convince oil companies to invest billions to rebuild Venezuela's energy industry. Lindsay?
Selina Wang from the White House, thank you. Now to the ongoing immigration operations in Minneapolis and protests across the country after the fatal shooting of a young mother by an immigration agent in that city. People in Minneapolis are honoring the memory of 37-year-old Renee Good. ABC's Morgan Norwood is on the scene again tonight in Minneapolis.
Tonight, the nationwide outcry over the death of 37-year-old Renee Good spilling into a fifth day. Demonstrations from New York to Los Angeles. And in Minneapolis today, ICE and Customs and Border Protection agents ramping up their operations, clashing with protesters. Demonstrators surrounding officers. Agents deploying what appears to be pepper spray. Before smashing through the front door of this home, leading a man out in cuffs. Agents transporting detainees to this federal building.
In a growing standoff outside this federal building in Minneapolis, federal agents on one side, dozens of demonstrators on the other, all calling for ICE to go home.
Today, Secretary Kristi Noem saying they're sending hundreds of more agents to the city and doubling down on her initial claim that ICE agent Jonathan Ross acted in self-defense when he shot Renee Good last week. That assessment made just hours after the shooting and before the investigation even began.
The vehicle was weaponized and it attacked the law enforcement officer. He defended himself and he defended those individuals around him. That is the definition. When there is something that is weaponized to use against the public and law enforcement, that is an act of domestic terrorism.
Noem's response only fueling more frustration. Lawmakers calling for transparency in the FBI's investigation.
How can we trust the federal government to do an objective, unbiased investigation without prejudice, when at the beginning of that investigation they have already announced exactly what they saw, what they think happened?
And Lindsay, the push for DHS reforms could turn into a budget battle. Senator Chris Murphy says that some Democrats could withhold funding for the agency, putting a possible government shutdown in play. Lindsay?
Once again, just at the end of the month, potentially. Morgan, thank you. Next tonight, police say a historic synagogue in Mississippi was targeted in an arson attack. Beth Israel was founded in 1860 and is the largest and oldest synagogue in the state. Let's bring in ABC's Alex Perche. Alex, what are you learning tonight?
Lindsay, tonight the mayor of Jackson says a suspect has been taken into custody for what they believe was an act of arson at Beth Israel Congregation Temple in Jackson. Authorities responded to the scene early Saturday morning. The synagogue is the oldest and largest in the state, dating back to 1860. It survived a bombing by the Ku Klux Klan in 1967 during civil rights protests. The congregation is still assessing the damage, but leaders have vowed to rebuild. In the meantime, the synagogue is making plans to continue its regular Shabbat services. The mayor vowing to hold accountable anyone who tries to spread fear and hate in Jackson. Lindsay?
Alex, thank you. Now to the stunning new details in the deaths of an Ohio dentist and his wife. The ex-husband and surgeon from Chicago is now facing 2 counts of murder, ending a 10-day manhunt. Here's ABC's investigative reporter, Olivia Rubin.
Tonight, new details into the investigation into the murders of a beloved Ohio couple inside their home as family and friends say goodbye to Spencer and Monique Tepe in a private service earlier today. The suspect in the killings, Michael David McKee, Monique's ex-husband. According to court records obtained by our affiliate WSYX, they were married in 2015, divorcing less than 2 years later. Records saying, quote, differences have arisen and they are now living separate and apart from each other. A judge soon issuing a standard mutual temporary restraining order. Officials searching for a suspect for 10 days, releasing this surveillance footage showing a person of interest walking in an alley near the home between 2 and 5 a.m. after a concerned friend showed up at the house spotting a pool of blood.
There's a body. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, and there's blood.
Inside, their 2 young children, just 4 and 1, found unharmed.
Yeah, no answer. I can hear kids inside, and I swear I think I heard one yell, but we can't get in.
McKee identified because of his car, court papers say, which authorities say was seen in the area before and after the murders. Officials say they found that car over 400 miles away in Illinois. Tonight, McKee remains detained in Illinois. He is expected in court for an extradition hearing tomorrow. Lindsay.
Olivia, thank you. Here in New York, thousands of nurses are set to walk off the job in just a matter of hours. The governor declared a state of emergency ahead of the possible strike, and she is pleading with both sides to keep negotiating. The latest now from ABC's Ika Jachi.
Tonight, New York City is bracing for impact. 16,000 nurses are set to strike tomorrow morning.
We need respect. We want it now.
The union is saying the walkout will happen unless there's progress in negotiations with several city hospitals in the next few hours. Other hospitals settled with the union last week. It would be the largest nurses' strike in city history. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has declared a state of emergency ahead of the potential strike, pleading with both sides to stay at the table.
This could jeopardize the lives of thousands of New Yorkers and patients.
All of this comes amid a spike in respiratory illnesses nationwide. The CDC estimates there have been 15 million flu-related illnesses, 180,000 hospitalizations, and 7,400 deaths this season so far. 42 states, including New York, are seeing high or very high levels of flu activity.
We're already seeing record-breaking hospitalizations and cases in New York City and many other parts of this country.
The nurses want higher pay and safer working conditions. Mount Sinai, one of the hospitals, is promising any potential walkout will not affect the care of patients. Lindsay, should a strike happen, state officials are urging everyone not to avoid or delay seeking medical attention in an emergency. Lindsay?
Ike, thank you. Next tonight, it's a wild card weekend for the NFL. Let's bring in ABC's Andrew Dimbert. Andrew, the weekend has certainly been filled with nail-biters and last-minute heroics on the field.
Oh, that it has, Lindsay. There's a reason they call it wild card weekend, and it's certainly lived up to the hype, starting with the LA Rams and Carolina Panthers setting the tone in the first game of the playoffs. A nail-biter coming down to a game-winning drive from the possible MVP Matthew Stafford. Then hours later, it was the NFL's oldest rivalry between the Bears and Packers getting off to a roaring scoring start. Packers looked like they were going to run away with it after getting out to a commanding 21-3 lead, but the Bears mounting a comeback for the ages. And Lindsay, perhaps it was a bit of divine intervention. Check out these Bears fans outside the Vatican asking Pope Leo, Chicago native of course, to bless the Bears. And I think it worked because they are moving on. Then there was the Buffalo Bills on the road in Jacksonville. Another game coming down to the wire. Bills winning after a late interception. Two more games, Patriots, Chargers, and 49ers, Eagles, rounding out wild card weekend before a Monday night showdown right here on ABC between the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers in what could be Aaron Rodgers' final game, Lindsay.
And the Bears certainly have the Pope on their side. Can't hurt. Andrew, thank you. There's still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday. Why a chance to compete in the Olympics is bittersweet for an American figure skater. And an urgent rescue. A surfer is pulled to safety after being stranded for more than 24 hours. Next tonight, wildfires are raging in Australia. Nearly 900,000 acres have burned in the past few days. Crews are desperately trying to slow the progress as the country bakes in a record-setting heat wave. Authorities say at least one person has been killed and more than 300 structures destroyed. A surfer is in safe and stable condition after being rescued in Puerto Rico. Video from the U.S. Coast Guard shows the 68-year-old man stranded on rocks Friday in an area inaccessible by boat. He'd been missing for more than 24 hours. The Guard lowered a basket from a helicopter and brought the man to safety. Still ahead, remembering Bob Weir. For 60 years, the music never stopped. To the index now, the weekend box office numbers are in, and Avatar: Fire and Ash continues to dominate, taking in more than $21 million. That's 4 straight weekend wins. The sci-fi adventure, produced by our parent company Disney, has now earned more than $1.2 billion worldwide. Tonight, we're remembering actor T.K. Carter. He was best known for his appearance in the 1982 horror film The Thing. He also had a recurring role in the TV sitcom Punky Brewster. Carter was found unresponsive Friday at his home in Southern California. Police did not disclose a cause of death, but say foul play is not suspected. T.K. Carter was 69 years old. Next, a bittersweet moment for an American figure skater. Maxim Naumov was just named to the U.S. Olympic team. This comes less than a year after his parents, former Olympians, were among those killed in the tragic crash of an American Airlines jet and a military helicopter in Washington, D.C. They were also his coaches. He'll honor their legacy when he competes in Milan next month. Still ahead, a look back at the career of Bob Weir and what he meant to so many deadheads. Finally, there are musicians who play songs and there are musicians who build worlds. Bob Weir was the latter.
For more than half a century, he stood at the center of a sound that refused to sit still, inviting generations to listen, to wander, and stay a while. As a founding member of the Grateful Dead, Bob Weir's influence stretched far beyond the stage, a rock and roll giant whose music helped define American rock. Writing and singing classics like Mexicali Blues,
Cherish swelly thoughts, keep a tight grip on the booze, 'cause drinking and drinking are all I have today.
and One More Saturday Night.
One more Saturday night.
A statement from his family shared that after courageously beating cancer as only Bobby could, unfortunately, he succumbed to underlying lung issues. He was just a teen when he met Jerry Garcia on a California sidewalk. What followed wasn't just a band, it was a long, strange trip that would stretch across decades, highways, and millions of lives. Together, they formed what would become the Grateful Dead, an experimental band that rejected rules, embraced improvisation, and built one of the most devoted fan bases in music history, known as Deadheads, often showing up in a sea of tie-dye. After Garcia's death in 1995, many thought the music would fade, but Weir kept it alive. Joining his former bandmates to create Dead & Company in 2015. Last August, they returned to San Francisco's Golden Gate Park, celebrating 60 years of the Grateful Dead with a 3-night run in front of some 180,000 fans.
Let's get on with the show.
Heartfelt tributes highlight Weir's impact, not only as a musician, but as a force, a man who came of age alongside the music that now defines him. Guitarist and singer Billy Strings wrote about the 78-year-old We're all completely devastated, but I also can't help but feel like he's at total peace and more magical now than he ever was. And iconic singer-songwriter Warren Haynes added, he was genuinely a beautiful human being, and I am honored to have known him as a friend. The world of music will keep his spirit alive.
Lasting legacy. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Lindsay Davis. Have a great night.
David Muir, the most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC's World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the third year in a row.